Welcome to the Voices for Voices TV show and podcast. I am your host, founder and executive director of Voices for Voices, Justin Allen Hayes. Voices for Voices is the #1 ranked TV show and podcast where people turn to for expert mental health, recovery, and career advancement intelligence. Our show is all about teaching you insanely actionable techniques to help you prosper, grow yourself and self-worth, and your personal brand. So, if you're a high achiever or someone who wants more out of life, whether mentally, physically, or spiritually, make sure you subscribe to our TV show and podcast. We're on all audio and video platforms, as well as Hudson Community Television. You can find that on Spectrum, as well as the HCTV Facebook page. As you can see, we publish new episodes each week that focus on case studies, real-life examples, actionable tips, and in the trenches reports and interviews from subscribers just like you. So that sounds like something that could help you grow personally or professionally. Then please join me by subscribing. Today's episode, our guest is in studio. We are going to shift gears and talk about a little bit of the environment that we find ourselves in and how it affects our mental health. And traumatic events, post-traumatic stress disorder, which I'm starting to call post-traumatic stress disease because it is a disease, and really tie those together with our guests. So we usually don't get into politics, and we're not going to get into politics from you should vote for this candidate or this candidate. We're just going to look at it more from the mental health side, as well as the side that some could consider elder abuse. Individuals who are older. So we're talking about I'm 42, so I guess anybody older than me could be considered an elder, but specifically talking those late 70s, 80s, 90s, 100, individuals that, as we grow, I know from myself, there's some things that I forget, so I have to write things down, and there's different areas that way. Others can, as the older you get, it may be more difficult to feed yourself, to walk up ramps, or what have you. So, a event that we all probably are at least aware of, if we don't know what actually occurred, there was, since we're in a presidential election year, so coming up, in November, we'll be doing that here as a nation. There was a debate between the presumptive Republican nominee, former President Donald J. Trump, as well as current President Joe Biden. And at that specific debate that had occurred, there were times, and again, we all have nerves. We get nervous, anxiety, stress, and we forget things from time to time. And I know I do. So from even standing where I am, I'm nowhere near perfect. Nobody's perfect, but I'm definitely not perfect, and so I'm not expecting or assuming anybody should be. At this debate, there were times where the current President Biden had stumbled over words, had mumbled. It was hard to really understand what he was saying. And what he was trying to get across, and as he was trying to explain certain events, and so we start to think about whether he's fit for office, and then the other side of just a human being that is growing older, right? Think of my grandparents, as they were, in their 70s and 80s, and then my grandma on my dad's side lived to be in their 90s. There were just things as time progressed that they were just a little bit tougher to do. Not stringing thoughts always together in a as much of a coherent way as could be. So as we take a step back from the debate, there's this whole polarization that was even more afterwards of the media coming out and saying, oh, well, is President Biden fit for office? Should he step down? Should we invoke the 25th Amendment? Should we have him run for re-election? Should the vice president swap out, or should candidates, Hillary Clinton come in, and or Michelle Obama, or there's all kind of names, all kind of theories that are being floated. But after the debate was when most of the media, other than Newsmax and Fox News, that really was starting to question President Biden and whether he was fit for office. And so what we want to talk about today is, again, the we call it elder abuse. And so a person that's getting older, so I, again, refer back to my family and my grandparents. So as they were getting older, a couple of them went into facilities for long-term care and for dementia and for various reasons. But these were things that only came about as they got older, and so we want to think about, how are we treating, as just human beings, how are we treating those that are getting up there in years? Are we putting them out in the public, and whether forcing them or asking them to put a speech together and read off a teleprompter, or answer questions at a press conference that aren't pre-written and pre-planned, and which can happen from time to time. So with that all going on, that brings, again, that whole new element of, okay, we're in a presidential election year, and so there's more eyes on what's going on with the current president, which some may have overlooked for the last 3.5 years. So with all that in mind, we just want to think about, again, whether it's President Biden or my family or our guest family, as they get older, are they getting the treatment that they need at the given age? Are they being seen by the correct specialist doctor, or are they getting their physical, or are they getting blood work, and are they getting seen by a neurologist if memory kind of comes into play? And so I know that from my own grandparents, that those are steps and things that occur. And so obviously, with having the President of the United States being now included with just in that realm and in the topic that we're speaking about, it really brought to light that our organization, talk about mental health and how that has affected the individual, whether it's President Biden or my grandparents, as they got older. So that's all kind of happening, and tying that into care, right? So there may be individuals that are actually in facilities being cared for their ailments, medically, and physically, mentally, spiritually, and they're at a facility. And so when an individual is there, we know they're being cared for as best as we know. But there can also be instances where they might not be, where understaffed may not be able to give the 20 around the clock care that they deserve, and there's different rating agencies that come through, and so there can be a whole host of things kind of happening where elders could be getting abused. It doesn't have to be a physical abuse. Again, it can just be mental abuse. It could be family either not family living or family living in other parts of the country or other parts of the world, and they're not able to make visits in person. So that takes a toll on a person, because you think about the seclusion and that of like thinking about, does anybody care about me, and how that can affect things. So that's mental health wise. So our guest today, he's been on our show before. You know him. He is a board member with Voices for Voices, as well as a Navy veteran, case manager. He's out in the community so much, and he is really helping from an organization standpoint, continuing to get the Voices for Voices organization brand out there. But he's helping others. He's learning how, if there's anything he can do or reach out on any way he can help. And so Jeremiah Tomko, again, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Justin. Appreciate that.
Absolutely.
Speaking of the military and vets, we appreciate all your service out there.
Absolutely do.
Especially with the 4th of July that came around. We just can't thank them enough.
Yeah, and so that kind of takes us into the topic. So one thing that you like to do is visit a Navy veteran at I'd say rehabilitation long-term care facility.
Yeah.
Can you speak about what prompted you to get started to do that, and then a little bit of how that makes you feel, and if you're able to give a synopsis of how that veteran may exhibit signs of besides saying thank you if he's able to, but being happy to have somebody come and visit.
Yeah, he's a member of our church where I attend, and he's very dear to us. I remember at one Christmas event we did a song together, a Christmas song. So definitely some fond memories with him. We all miss him. So yeah, he is at a facility, unfortunately, due to different circumstances with his health. So pretty much the only family he has is like a sister in the area.
Okay.
And it sounds like he does not have visits from her recently. And he has children that he has from, other states, and he doesn't hear from them very much at all as well. So, the pastor brought it to my attention, and I try to dedicate at least every other Sunday to go visit him, and just say, how's your day? Find interest that he likes. He likes like war movies, crime, spy. So I did take him in like a military book for him to read.
Oh, cool.
And find out some shows he likes. So I needed to find some DVDs, maybe to take down there. He likes to play cards. So I went down, took some cards down there, try to help him, just with some time. Sometimes that all it is time that matters. And he says the food's good there at least.
That's important.
Right. He's not sure about some of the workers there, but for the most part, he's content. But he says the difference between a prison and where he's at now is he can at least go outside and get some fresh air.
Oh, gosh. He's got a sense of humor.
Yeah, he lightened up the air, because it's got to be something all alone for 24 hours, just not hear much. So at least I'm going in at least twice a month, and then the pastor's going in, I think at least maybe once a week or maybe every other week, depending on his schedule, apart from running the church. And he's also has a job and a family and children, a lot of responsibilities.
So if we think about, viewer, listener, how it's they're interested in doing that, taking up the ministry, kind of like what you're doing. How can an individual find out about individuals who they'd be able to go see, to spend time with, just to sit with, or what have you? Can you just give a recommendation of maybe some ways that individuals can do the same thing that you're doing?
I'd say if you belong to a church, definitely reach out to your church. You could even just call the nursing home. There's plenty in the area, in Summit County, Hudson, Stowe, Cuyahoga Falls, depending where you live. Actually nationwide.
Probably internationally too.
Yeah, absolutely. I have a friend, and she had worked in this kind of facility before, so they're international, indeed.
Okay. So how does that make you feel? You do a lot of, we talked about in a couple of the past episodes, but how does that make you feel you, not that you weren't before, but you're legitimately making huge strides in helping and attending different events and meeting people. How does that make you feel, and how can a viewer or listener kind of get a little bit of that, have a good contagious thing, right? Like, we're doing good things. There's a lot of people doing good things. There's a lot of ways people can help that we don't always have to think about. It's got to be money related. Like, if I don't donate,
right,
that I'm not going to make a big impact. That there's so many ways to, again, just be present.
Right. At the end of the day, it's the Lord's work. I've always loved helping either my family or the community growing up, volunteering, at the church. I've volunteered at the Salvation Army. In the military, you're volunteering your life to serve your country. Yeah. It's a great honor. So yeah, anybody out there who wants to get involved, there's so many organizations. Reach out to Justin, and we can definitely pull a plethora of referrals out.
Yeah,
that are needed in society.
Down.
Yeah, absolutely. Just takes an email, a phone call. Everybody, probably knows your website.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, voicesforvoices.org, lovevoices.org. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely reach out to Justin, and definitely want to help everybody out we can in the community. There's a lot of work to do out there.
There is, and as we'll see tomorrow with one of the areas with the reentry program of Summit County, individuals coming with needs that may just be, I don't have a car, and might be able to give them some bus passes. Get them some food from a food bank, a pantry.
Definitely.
Which that leads into food pantry that you are now associated with. Can you share where that is, what that is, and if somebody is in need in that area, how they can come and get some help?
Definitely. It's at the Church of God in Cuyahoga Falls on 4th Street. Off of Portage Trail, so it's right on the corner. Okay. Second Saturday of each month from 5 to 6
p.m.
So anybody can come on down, sign up, and get some groceries.
No questions asked.
Yep.
So how did that ministry get started, of starting a food pantry?
I think the church has always been involved in the community. They also do a backpack giveaway. I'll have to get more information about that.
Yeah.
So we can get that out to the community as well. Yeah, I believe they just wanted to start this food pantry because we have a need in the community for folks out there that may need groceries. You know, the paycheck didn't last. Hey, here's the second Saturday of the month. Hey, we can go down to the Church of God and at least get some food for a few meals and whatnot. Yeah. You know, that's definitely important outreach there. And then, you know, tell them about Jesus, you know, while they're there. They can pick up a pass, a track. Mm-hmm. I believe there's some Bibles there, okay, if they're interested as well. A lot of lost souls out there that need encouragement.
Yeah, and as we've found over at least the last 4 years, if not the last 8 years, there's certain topics that come up in the world, and you know, those are elections and elected officials and, you know, people running for office against another. You know, how do you think the divisiveness? I mean, we've seen families being ripped apart based off of who they support or who they don't support. Can you just maybe talk about how that can affect a person's mental health of, you know, having that extra stress where, you know, it's already tough enough to live, to be an individual and to, you know, to live each day, and then to have a topic like that come up with family. Can you touch on just maybe a little bit of that, what you maybe have seen through your work and ministry?
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of negative and positive influence out there. So, you know, just the day-by-day living, where a person's mindset is, you know, what they're putting in their mind, either on the TV, the radio, mm-hmm, you know, and then, you know, at work or in society, especially social media. You know, not everybody's credible with the information out there. So we definitely want to make sure we're getting the right information, because I don't think a lot of people are out there fact-checking too much like it used to be. A long time ago, you had to be reputable, right, to even be in the newspaper or even on TV. It's probably bigger now. You just get on your phone and tweet or TikTok or something, you know, Facebook, yeah, and you can put any information out there, and it could be true or not true. So yeah, that could be damaging on a person's mental health in many aspects. Mm-hmm. You know, definitely some trauma, you know, because it could be true or not. Mm-hmm. And then what do you do? You know, if it's true or not.
Yeah. Yeah, and that add that on top of just the daily tasks of living, and have that as an aspect of, you know, the alerts on our phones we can get, and the buzzing or the ringing sound, and I try to usually have mine off just because it bothers me, not that I get a super amount of those reminders I have set to be off, but with you know, text messages or things like that, I know that's bothersome, and that can bring, you know, some, you know, we talk about the 4th of July, that can bring up some, you know, PTSD or some shell shock in, yeah, veterans that have been in theater, in wars, and mm-hmm, bring back experiences and can literally take them back to that time.
Yeah, all those fireworks and people are shooting guns around the holidays.
Yeah.
You know, I was actually down on the 5th at the Kenmore Friday event, First, yeah, Friday it's called, mm-hmm, and there were some people that you know, they were a little concerned with the fireworks and then down there, but I thought I felt pretty safe down there.
Okay.
So they are doing some things down in Kenmore to improve the community, and I'm definitely a witness of that.
Yeah, and I mean, you got to start somewhere, so it may not be most attractive area that
Right.
somebody might think of locally. But we have to. Not everything is roses and gold. That there's
True.
areas that they would like to be on the rebound, and so having events, getting people together, is one way to do that.
That's
So,
excellent.
yeah. So how did that event? So if somebody is interested in that event, when is it held, and what types of
So yeah, it's
is it the first Friday?
yeah. So there was one in June that's passed, in July, of course. So in August it's on the 2nd, in September it's on the 6th. Starts at 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. There's music, food vendors. It's kid friendly.
Good.
There's a kids zone. I did see some face painting.
Oh.
There were some food trucks down there. If you want more information, betterkenmore.org.
Can you spell Kenmore?
Ken as in Nancy, M as in Mary, ORE.org.
Okay. And you, like you said, you felt safe, and
Yeah.
a traditionally area where people might not, or they might say, I'm not going down there.
It's right by the Kenmore Library, Kenmore Boulevard. The county of Summit County was down there,
Okay.
Towpath Trail had a table.
Mm-hmm.
There's a place called First Glance. They're a Christ Center that works with children in the community down there. They're huge down there now.
Yeah, and you're actually visiting there tomorrow, so
Yeah.
that's good.
It'll be an honor as well. There was some Christian gospel, hip hop organization down there,
Wow.
collaborating with the children to bring more positivity into the Akron area there.
Great.
Definitely, it's a good thing.
Good. Well, we've come to the end of our time. It seems to always go fast.
Indeed.
Yeah, especially when talking about such important topics and events, and bringing the community up to speed with some of the things that not only are happening on a national. We talk about the election and elder abuse, and how seeing an individual may be helpful, and finding ways, if there are individuals that are exhibiting signs that might need a little bit of help, that regardless of where they're at, whether they're a politician or not, they may need help, and they need people around them that are going to help them in the right way. They're not looking at for ulterior motives, for power, of staying in the power. So we can do certain testing on that.
Right.
And so we talked about how the divisiveness and how that affects mental health, a little bit of the debate and how that tied in. How visiting, as Jeremiah does, a veteran or an individual that can be helpful. It might be the only face they see other than the staff in weeks, maybe months or years, and definitely getting out in the community. So Jeremiah, thank you for joining us again.
Hey, thanks for having me on again. I appreciate it.
You bet.
Everybody out there as well.
Thank you. And we want to thank our viewers, our listeners, for joining us on this episode. I am Justin Allen Hayes, founder and executive director of Voices for Voices. And until next time, please be a voice for you or somebody in need.